Well, thank you, George. A pleasure to see you again, and a pleasure to be here again. And great to have the opportunity to share with you our true nature. And I guess you've probably got some idea. Hello. Hi. You've got some idea of what that means, or more than just an idea, an experience. And good idea. Yeah. So our true nature is different from our appearance. Our appearance is what you can see in the mirror and what you can see looking at me and I can see looking at you, and that is that very precious individual person that you are with your unique life and point of view. And our true nature is boundless, clear, open, spacious, full of everything, and that is what we are going to be enjoying this evening together. And I go around sharing the Headless Way, which is a way of pointing to this wonderful reality that we all are. That is, they say that you don't know what obviousness is until you see who you really are. It is so obvious, embarrassingly obvious, deceptively obvious. So just be aware that you cannot see your own head. And you can see everyone else's, but you can't see yours. I can't see mine anyway. So I can see all of you, and you're all looking towards me here at the front. But I don't see what you see. I don't see Richard. See, I don't find my head here in my own experience. Instead, I see you. I'm built open for you. And so when you look at me, isn't it true that you do not see your own face? Now see. You can remember it, think about it, but in your own experience, what sometimes called radical subjectivity. See? So that when you are aware of me, you see my face, you don't see yours at the same time. Don't see yours. So we say this is face to no face. See? For me it's face to no face. We're trading faces. I have your face. I've got, instead of Richard's face, I've got 15, 20 faces. See? So what we're going to do this evening is to be aware of this, and I'm going to take you through a few what we call experiments or awareness exercises for keeping this on the front burner, and also as a means to exploring what it might mean, some of the implications perhaps. And we've got a couple of hours, so we can travel a bit with this. So first of all, I think in Dzogchen, in that tradition in Buddhism, they have pointing out exercises, pointing out your true nature. Because if you're not aware of your true nature in a kind of regular way, you're missing out on something amazing. It's just an incredible resource. See? So we're going to get the ball rolling with one of the best known Headless Way pointing out experiments, which is pointing. So I'm going to ask you to actually point at something. It could be the model or the bottle or even me or picture, to direct your attention. Meditation is attention, I suppose, paying attention, but to what? To your true nature is what we're going to be attending to here. So take your finger and point, I don't know, at the carpet or an object. Look down your finger and you will see whatever you're pointing at, and notice it's a thing, it's an object, it's got colours and shapes. Now point at, say, your knee. It's the same. So this is really simple, like a child would understand, you see. Point at your torso, you can see your torso there, colours and shapes, movement. And now hold your finger out and point back at where others see your face and observe if you can see your face there. I can't. Just see my finger. And I would say this is a non-verbal experience, non-conceptual, even non-emotional. So if it doesn't mean anything at the moment to you, join the club, right? This is an observation. If I was saying, look at the sky, you say, well, I can see the sky, but it doesn't make me feel any better. Just hang on a minute, right? Just observe it. So you're pointing now at a place that no one else can look at, because it's right where you are, and no one else but you is there. Do you perceive a thing there, an object, a face, a head, any colors or shapes or movement? I don't. And this is what I would say the Buddhists are on about when they say emptiness, void, awareness. And it's not a wow. It doesn't have to mean anything. So just take the opportunity for a few moments to be aware in this way without having to make anything of it or think about it in any way. See, it's like you're just out in nature staring. See, but now point with your other hand out at the same time, back out to the 10,000 things, as the Buddhists say, I think. The colors and shapes and people and paintings and objects. And this indicates that this space that you're looking out of, I say you're looking out of, this emptiness, this clarity, this stillness, isn't just empty, it's also full. It's capacity for what's going on. And wonderfully, I find no dividing line between the form there and the emptiness here. The shapes there, the shapelessness here. And so this pointing out experiment has got a kind of pointing out direction, out into the room, and a pointing in direction. This is provisional, it's language. And so if you have another way of describing it, great. See, the more ways there are, the better. But I say, you can't miss this, you can't get it wrong. You can't see your head now, you can't see your eyes, you can't see your cheeks. See, I'm talking about looking, not imagining. Now stay with this. I know it's very, very simple. Stay with it for a bit more, as if you just, those moments when you're out in the country and you just stop thinking and you just look, and it's a pleasure, see. And something will occur to you, but you don't have to think. You're just being, see, being empty. I'm putting words on this, see. And now just lower your hands, you see, and you still can't see your face. And another image that we have for this, for your true nature, for who you really are, for your true self. All these are names and words for the inexpressible and the indescribable. But that's who you are, you see, I say. So you are it. It's not hidden. But another image we have is the single eye. And we will do some things with eyes closed. But the single eye, what's the single eye? So here's a very simple way of illustrating what I mean. You hold your hands out like glasses, like this, you see. So you've got two holes, like two eyes, except they're just holes. And then you put them on like glasses, and notice what happens to the dividing line. See, well, the dividing line disappears, and now there's only one hole. There's a kind of magic. You hold them out again, you see, and there's the observation, radical subjectivity. You know that for others, there's still two holes there, two eyes. But from inside, subjectively, I find it totally different. And then you open your hands and just see that they disappear all the way around. Hold your hands out in front like this. So these are just so, they're kind of fun, they're like being a child, really. So you see a gap between your hands, you're just looking ahead, and you bring them back either side of your head, but you don't. They get bigger and bigger, and the fingers disappear, and the hands disappear, and you keep going all the way to the wrist. And they've disappeared in the great void, into the emptiness, the stillness. And then you bring them forwards, and they emerge out of that nothingness, that emptiness, that mystery. This is not a wow necessarily. There's not even a way of thinking about it. It's a kind of pre-thinking observation that you will come up with thoughts about because you're an adult and all of that. But it is so fundamental that it's what you are, and you can't lose it, I say. But when I'm sitting here talking about this, I'm communicating with you using words and gestures. And I am absolutely convinced you're in the same wonderful condition as I am. Because, Nick, you can't see your head now, can you?
Correct.
Right, you're looking out the single eye, true? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a way of talking, see. So we're on the same page in that way, and it's equal. It's not like I can see the nothing a bit better than you, or a bit worse, or differently. There's nothing to distinguish us. True? Mm-hmm. And when I'm speaking to you, Nick, I've not met you before, it's two voices in one consciousness. Would you go with that? Does that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that is just a different way of listening and of appreciating one's relationship with so-called other, right? Because I don't know you, I don't know what you're thinking, and yet you're within me. Would you agree the other way around? Yeah, you see. So, if you don't go along with that description, doesn't matter. You see, it's very useful sometimes when you get someone, a little interaction by that, and you go, I don't know what they're talking about. I don't understand that, right? You see, and I say, it doesn't matter. That is icing on the cake. See, but I've forgotten your name.
Seth.
Seth. So, when I'm talking to you, Seth, you can see Richard's face, but not Seth's face. I can see Seth's face and not Richard's. So I say, I am empty for you and you're empty for me. It's language. But do you go along with that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, but now we are communicating and sharing something incredibly profound, I would say. See, you're in me and I'm in you. Well, the idea is not simply to glimpse this on an evening, it's to live from it. But then, as you live from it, as you keep coming back, because it's something you've never gone away from, because it's a place you're looking out of, see. But what we find is that as you hang out with it, live with it, observe it, enjoy it, celebrate it, it sinks in. The implications sink in, see, because I hope you live long, healthy lives so you've got time to let this sink in. This incredible fact that you're face to no face with people. See, say, well, why is that important? I say, well, you start to tell me. Why do you think it's important? Why do you think it's important, Brian? Face to no face. I mean, just off the top of your no head.
It makes me feel less self-conscious.
That's what you said at the beginning before the meeting. Now that is freeing, isn't it?
Very.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing, you see. Good thing. Gillian, why would you say, just making it up as you go along, why is face to no face significant, or if it is, or what do you think?
I think it takes away the identity and you can kind of relate better.
Relate better. Doesn't the world need this? See, and this is not a complicated theory. This is just the simplest observation that you have access anytime you want. Say, Kevin, see, we're face to no face, right? Is that a good thing? What do you think? Any thought about that?
It's very freeing. There's no sense of being a separate individual distinct from the world.
Yeah.
That needs to be defended or so I can relax.
Now, thank you, Kevin. The more that we begin to share our thoughts, and your thoughts will be different. And you might think, oh God, I hope he doesn't ask me because I can't think of anything. See? Well, you never know. You never know. But you don't have to think anything. But the more that we begin to share, because this is not rocket science. You don't have to learn this. There's nothing to learn. You just notice you're looking at the single eye. You see, right now, you can see how wide Richard is. You could measure Richard, or how wide the table is. See? You just look. Now, how wide is your single eye? How wide, Kevin?
There's nothing to compare it to.
Nothing to compare it with. Very, yes.
I know the answer, though. I went on Saturday.
It's too honest.
Yeah, but the answer happens to be true. You see, you don't have to rely on what you learned, if you like, on Saturday. You look again. See, and I say that, well, we can observe this. If you look at a chair, you can see the width, and it might be wider than, you know, the table is wider than the bottle. You see, and this is slightly wider than the bottle. Anything you can look at, its width, you can compare it. It's either wider or thinner, something like that, right? You can see it, you can compare it. Compare. Now look at the whole view. See, for me, it's single. I don't see your view, I don't see another. So, I mean, how many views out do you actually experience? I've forgotten your name. It's
Jerry.
Jerry. Right now, how many views out do you experience? One. So you can't compare it with another because you can't see another, right? So I say it's incomparable, it's single. So I can't compare it. It's not bigger, wider, thinner than another one. There's only one. So the only one way that I think about it, if I want to describe how wide it is, I say, well, at the moment it's as wide as George's room. This meditation room, it's as wide as that. I just see the kitchen or whatever it is on the left and vaguely see the front of the building there, and it's as wide as that. But if I go out at night and the stars are out, it's now as wide as the heavens. See, or if I look in a little box, you know, it says just as wide as the box. Well, so I'm just kind of curious, when you notice that, because we'll go into other aspects, sensations and thoughts, but when you're just aware that the view is single and it's wide as the room, you know, is that a good experience? I find it very relaxing. You're nodding, Nick, would you agree?
Yeah, more expansive.
More expansive. Dale, good thing?
Just total intimacy, separability.
Intimacy. Why intimacy?
I don't find any separation. I don't find two things.
So this is another wonderful thing. You see, we're just kind of beginning to see what arises in terms of this experience of yourself. We're not talking about something someone else is experiencing, we're talking about yourself. So you can look at two objects and you see a distance between them. See this, how simple it is, how verifiable it is, how grounded it is. You see, nothing to believe here, I say. But you can estimate a distance between any two objects. Now be aware of the whole field of views. I'm going to call that the view out. View in is nothing. My hands disappear into nothing here. The view out is, for me, of all you lovely people and the paintings and the room and so on. See? So you can estimate the distance between two objects. But now ask yourself, how far away is the whole view? Well, I mean, anywhere you'd measure from is within the view, right? So I can't say. It's either just no distance. We have a wonderful little experiment, which I'll use this. Imagine this is a ruler, and you measure between Gillian and David, it's 3/4 of the ruler. So I'm measuring, right? Or between the ceiling and the floor, it's the whole, just about the whole ruler from here. Now, how far away is the whole view? Well, I put one end on the view and I swing it round to me, and it becomes a point. And there's nowhere to measure from. So I don't know how far away you are from the emptiness. Are you following what I'm talking about? There's no distance in a way. And you, for me, I've forgotten your name. Bob. Bob, you are given in this, it's so clear. It's like clear water, given in this clarity here, you see, at no distance. And yet you're somehow there. It's very strange. Now, what Dale was talking about, that is both safe and intimate. Now, you may not feel it's intimate, or you may. But I say, hang out with this, attend to it, meditate with this. Relax into it, be aware of it, and let these things sink in. You don't have to force anything. See, the fact is, I would say, that the whole view is no distance. It's very intimate, no dividing line. Because you could imagine a dividing line between two people, or between the bottle and the table, a dividing line. See? Between any two things, a kind of dividing line. But now, where is the dividing line between the view out and the view in? Can you find one, Brad?
Well, there's nothing back here, so there isn't an inside and an outside.
No.
It turns out.
It turns out. After all I was told, there isn't one. Now we understand from the outside there's an inside and outside, and you've grown up and learned what you look like and who you are in the world. So as a baby I would say you're headless, you've no idea of inside and outside, you've no idea of being face to face yet, you don't have language, you haven't looked in the mirror yet, you're just open and you don't know who you are and you don't care. And there you are. But you can't take care of yourself. You need to, you're there you are functioning, but you can't drive a car yet or anything. You don't know who you are. Growing up, here's one way of thinking about it, is going out in imagination, turning around, and you can imagine it now with me, and looking back at yourself through my eyes or through someone's eyes and feeling self-conscious. If you imagine, it's called empathy. Growing up is the exercise, the discovery, the working out, the exercising of the muscle of empathy. It's a good thing. Because you can't see yourself directly now. So if you had egg on your forehead, you wouldn't know. It's only the others who would know. In order to appreciate who you are with your boundary, with your name, with your age, with your nationality, with your job, essentially, something to consider, you've got to go out, turn around, look back at yourself through the eyes of others, or use a mirror. So when you're a baby, you're not doing that yet. That's why you could, if you were a baby here, you'd just be kind of looking, and you would have no idea and wouldn't care that, you wouldn't feel self-conscious. You started like that. So deep in your genes or bones or something, you have that kind of primal memory of being free, of being nobody and not caring, and it being wonderful and being open. So when you were looking at your mum, you were just, I would say, space for your mum, or only your mum's face, and you didn't feel under inspection, like just looking, you see. Now that is in you, so I say you recognize that, and that's kind of that's the territory we're in this evening, is that essential, original, as they say, original face is your original no face. So you start in that condition, and growing up is learning to go out and see yourself through the eyes of others as an object, as a person, with a name, with a boundary, so you don't put your hand in the fire, and so that you can learn to walk and talk and negotiate through life. See, you need to know who you are in the eyes of society. It's objective knowledge. When you're a child, you're in the business of learning that. You want to learn it, but it's 24/7 because everybody... See, I only have to look at you now and you feel looked at. Is that true? You see, well, that's because you've learned it. When you were a baby, you didn't have that. But you've learned it so well that I don't have to tell you, you just read. Everybody's look to indicate, you make up, oh, that person really doesn't like me. Well, I mean, they might be thinking about something else, might they? But anyway, we're reading all the time, not just whether they like us or not, but that we're a thing, we're an object, see. And as a child, you are in and out of that, because your default is radical subjectivity, not being a thing, not having a name, not being anyone, carefree, don't care, make it up as you go along. See. But the only way that you can join in and benefit from society is saying yes to who others say you are. See? And to buy into that profoundly so that you, I would say, completely forget about your original openness and not being anybody. If you were to say, at school, really I'm nobody, that wouldn't go down very well, would it? See? You want to be somebody. You don't want to be nobody. You want to be going somewhere. You want to be achieving something absolutely healthy and important and vital. And so I would say that growing up is, in effect, the suppression of your non-entity, your nobodiness, your original face, your openness, your headlessness, in favor of what everyone else tells you you are. So that by the time you're an adult, see, when you look in the mirror as an infant, that's not you yet. But you're taught to take that image and pull it out in the mirror, flip it around, put it on. See, because now you can't see your face, but I bet you're imagining it, right? You can think about it. Yeah. So by the time you're an adult, you are acting as if you are the one that others say you are. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, and that's totally healthy. Necessary, vital. Well, you can't function if you don't. But yeah, don't stop at that stage, right? Yeah, you're ahead of the game there.
Very healthy of me.
Yeah, no, right. Yeah. Well, exactly, because because it leads you into a place of separation, loneliness, fear, under threat, mortality, confusion. See? And don't you somehow have the feeling that, everyone's looking at you and they know something about you that you can't see, and it's kind of unsettling? You see? Well, that's true. They can see you and you can't. Unless you've got your phone with it, camera switched around all the time, But even then. All right. So the third, we've got 4 stages. Baby, you're nobody, nothing, you're headless, you're spacious, that's my language, and you don't care that you don't know who you are, because you just arrived and you are, and everything's interesting, you see, you're open, single-eyed. The child, you're learning language and learning to see yourself from the outside and take that on board, but you haven't got it on yet, as if you're putting on clothes or getting in a box. So your default is not being in the box, but you're learning you have to get in there. But it takes quite a lot of effort to maintain that idea of a self, you see. But by the time you're an adult, because it's 24/7 feedback from everyone, verbal and non-verbal, by the time you're an adult, you're profoundly convinced that you are what I say you are, or society says you are. And you operate as if you're that. But you have this feeling, probably, that you've lost something, that there's something not quite right, but you don't know what it is, Well, baby, child, adult, seer. When now you stop for a moment, like we're doing this evening, you stop for a moment, and you say, when everyone tells you, you're Richard, you're limited, you're this, you're that, you see, I say, thank you very much. I appreciate that is true from your point of view, but I'm going to look for myself, because I'm over here and you're over there. You're not over here. So when you point back, let's point again. Point back at the place you're looking out of, you see, and just compare it with what others say you are. And here's your original face, your original emptiness, that openness. There's not a thing that is, as we've already found, not separate, is as wide as the world. Yeah. So what we're doing here is not denying what others say we are, but adding to it. So I say, yeah, thank you, I'm Richard. I appreciate that from your point of view, but from my point of view, I'm looking at the single eye, I'm as wide as the room, I have many faces. So when you grow up, the language you learn articulates the objective. I am Richard, I have one face, I have got I am in the room, all right? Now when you awaken to radical subjectivity, what it's like to be you, I say we need a new language to articulate it. See, I'm not looking at two eyes, I'm looking at one single eye. That's a new terminology, isn't it? I am not face to face with you, it's face to no face. I'm trading faces with you. I'm looking at this single eye and I'm as wide as the room. I am not in the room is in me. So now, are we all right with this? Yeah! This is good news. This is very good news. And you can't do it wrong. You can't half see the emptiness. You can't see it better or worse than anyone else. See, it's just so good. I mean, I don't know if it had to be like that, but it is like this. See, it's available, not dependent on your mood. All right, so I know that you're here to hear deep words of wisdom, but also to be entertained, aren't you? You like to be entertained, so I'm going to take you on a little entertaining journey here. All right, so notice your single eye. See, as soon as I've shared the single eye, you know what I'm talking about, right? So it's brilliant. Do you know what I'm talking about, the single eye?
I think I do.
Yeah, you can't see your two eyes, right? You're looking at one. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. It's as simple as that. You see, I've never met you before, and here we are. Yeah, it's fantastic, you see. So, notice your single eye, and you can look at me and see I've got what I call a hard edge, a boundary around me. So, I am in the room, because the room is around me, see, in the room. Now, be aware of the whole field of view, and notice how it fades out all the way around the edge. And whatever you're looking at is most in focus, and as you become aware, wide-eyed, panoramic view, soft eyes, all the way to the periphery fades out into nothing. I mean, I don't find a hard edge there with something on the other outside it. So the whole field of view is not inside something bigger. It's floating in nothing. Now, this is language. So you might describe it differently. I am convinced you've got the same basic experience, that the view fades out. But how you describe it, might be different. I hope it is. But anyway, if you go along with my terminology, it's kind of got a soft edge and it fades out. So I don't see, Gillian, I can see above Gillian, I can see the wall. And below Gillian, I can see the floor. And to the left of Gillian, I can see someone at the back there and someone else, right? Now you look at the whole field of view, and in the same simple way, do you see anything above the top line? I don't. Do you see anything below the bottom line? I don't. Do you see anything beyond the left side or beyond the right side? I don't. So I say it's just not contained, floating in nothing. See? But it's language, because nothing sounds like something, but it's not. Go round and round in circles with that one. All right? So I say it's floating in the middle of nothing. It's not contained. So it's not inside anything. All right, so that's the first thing. Second thing is the size thing, which we've touched on a little bit. So any two objects in the room, compare their size with one another. So there's a kind of, this is 5-year-old stuff, 3-year-old stuff, and fun for that reason, I mean, relax, and just enjoy the ride. So compare any two things. The picture is bigger than the lamp, but smaller than that other picture. It's relative. So just notice that the size of things in that sense is relative when you compare it. So we've touched on this with the wideness. Now look at the whole view. How big is it? Well, certainly you can't compare it. I can't compare it with a second view because there isn't a second view on the left or the right or above it. So I say it's incomparable. I can't say how big it is. It's not bigger or smaller. It's single. Now, are we on the same page with this? Am I communicating something about your experience here? George? Yes. Single. So, it's not inside anything, the view. And we're going to apply this to our experience with eyes closed, so you'll see how it's kind of generally true of yourself. So at the moment we're just looking at our visual experience. So I can't say how big it is. Can't say what shape it is. I mean, you look at something, its shape is, it's got hard edge. That's the kind of boundary to its shape. But you look at the whole view, it doesn't, is it round? Is it oval? I mean, a round thing has a boundary with something beyond it. So it's weird. It's weird. So, and the other thing is the distancing, which we've touched on. You can measure between two things, but when you look at the whole view, how far away is it? Can't say. All right. Now close your eyes. So this is where we move into just recognizing that it's just generally true, I would say, about you. You see, because the question that I am raising is, who are you? What are you? And you can begin to answer that question by asking simple questions like, how big are you? Or how old are you? Or what shape are you? Or where are you? So we take it step by step. It's rather fun. You become aware of the darkness, which is not uniform, but we'll just use that as a shorthand, the darkness there. How big is the darkness? See, well, it's quite good to imagine you're a baby, just in the sense that you've no idea, you've no language, you haven't learned anything, so you just attend. Well, there is not a second darkness to compare it with. So it's as wide as it is wide. It's like the night sky. See, and what does it have a boundary? Does it have an edge? Or is it similar to the field of view, just fades out into nothing? So it just got no address, no location, nothing under it, nothing above it, nothing around it. And how far away is it, you see? Well, from where? Doesn't have an address. So that's the darkness. It's a kind of miracle hanging there in the middle of nothing, a mystery. If you suddenly found something suddenly appearing, you'd say, where did that come from? Well, the darkness, where does it come from? If you just go as if you've been born this moment to help you drop your ideas and just look as if for the first time. See? Now, I'd like you to be aware of sounds. And you can hear my voice arising and other sounds. And I'm going to call that the field of sound. The field of darkness, shorthand, field of sound. So this is a bit of a journey, exploration. And all these different sounds, soft ones, loud ones, see? How big is the whole field of sound? Well, I don't find a second one to compare it with. Does it have a hard edge, a boundary? I find I can't pin down an edge, fades out. Where is it? Is it inside some kind of container? Or is it just arising in the nothingness, like the darkness, in the silence, in awareness, in consciousness? I say that. And the sounds come out of this mysterious silence and then, I suppose, go back into it or something? These are just provisional metaphors, images, descriptions. I'm convinced it's basically the same for you, but you'll have different ways of thinking about it, I guess. Now, are there sounds happening in a different space or awareness from the darkness? I find they're not. So I can distinguish between the darkness and the sounds, but I can't divide them off from each other. And now be aware of your body sensations. And I'm going to call that the field of sensation. And again, if you can imagine you're a baby, so you know, if I say be aware of your right foot, you've got an image there. You've learned that. That's really useful to direct your attention to that sensation. But imagine you're a baby and you haven't got the image yet, but you've got the sensation. How far away is that sensation? Well, from where? Well, be aware of your whole body. But again, put aside the label, very useful, as if you're a baby. That field of sensation, how big is it? There's nothing to compare it with. Does it have a hard edge? So in other words, do you have a hard edge? Because we identify with our sensations. Do you have a hard edge? Do you have a shape? Are you contained inside something bigger? I'm not. Consciousness is infinite. There's no, it's like no container. How wide are you? Going by your body sensations, if you like. And are your sensations happening in a different place from the sounds and the darkness? Not for me. All going on together. I can distinguish them from each other, but I can't separate them. Another way of putting it is you're big. Very big. You're not contained. Free, kind of. See, and this isn't manufacturing something, making something up. This is, I say, just observing the way it's given, the way you are given. The question is, who are you? You are living your life. It's good to know who is living your life. See, good to know at the objective level if you know your name and your age and your nationality. You need these things for various situations. See? But now, when you find out who you really, really are, this vastness, see, well, that's going to make a difference to how you live your life, I think, if you're aware of being uncontained, from your point of view, as wide as the world, that all the sounds are arising in you. There's not, you see, if you become aware of the sound of my voice, and then the sensation of your tummy, we say the voice is outside and the sensation is inside. Okay, understood. But now from your subjective point of view, where's the dividing line? Isn't it all happening in awareness? And you can distinguish between the voice, which you label as outside, and the sensation, which you label as inside. But at the same time, I say it's all within me, or all in awareness, all in this space that I am. No inside, no outside. And there's a paradox. The content is all changing all the time. The sounds, the sensations, everything is changing all the time. And yet, there's always something there, and it's happening in this unchanging consciousness. So you've got the best of both worlds. You've got the stable, unchanging awareness, space, consciousness, and then you've got this incredibly fertile, creative experience of change. And no doubt you're thinking and feeling, so if you just think of a few numbers, just count to 10 or 20 or something, just make up some numbers so you can see thoughts appearing, so to speak. Now, where do they come from? Do they come out of an object, a thing, or just out of no mind, like the sounds? They just come out of no mind for me. Magic. You see, think of a number and then ask yourself, how did you do that? How did you just conjure that out of nowhere? It's kind of magic. If you want magic in your life, pay attention to what is happening. At this present moment, see, the present moment is always coming in, new things always coming in, it's always going out. The sounds are disappearing, sounds coming in, going out, yet there's always something there. Like a miracle. In this unchanging, vast openness that you are. And when you think of a number, or think of a mountain, or think of a friend's face, when you get thoughts going, or images, or feelings, does that stop you being aware of the space? Well, no. The sounds arise in the space. The sounds don't destroy the silence of awareness. The darkness doesn't obscure the transparency of awareness. The thoughts do not obstruct the no mind. They come out of it. And the evidence of, as well as everything else, sounds and sensations, the evidence of the incredible fertility and creativeness of this emptiness. It just can't stop creating. It overflows moment by moment. This moment is coming out of, I say, your true nature. So that is some nature. That's impressive. And it's without effort, without you knowing how you do it. And, yeah. So this question, who are you? What are you? Well, you are you now. It's not hidden. You are not hidden from yourself. We bought into what everyone's told us and overlooked our vastness because from the outside we're small. Well, we get that. I'm not denying the importance of that at all. But now we add into it our subjective experience, which is not hidden, not complicated. You are vast. You are irrepressibly creative. You are as wide or wider than the world. You contain... Walt Whitman, I am vast, I contain multitudes. Well, he was talking about this, I say. And this is what we share. This is not something you achieve and is yours and not anyone else's. This is where we come together. What arises in the space is different for each of us. I've got different thoughts from you, a different life from you. At the same time, there's nothing to differentiate us in terms of the space and the fact that it is just so creative. And it is available in the moment whenever you choose, and nothing can stop you being aware of you as you really are. And now you are going to perform yet another miracle. You're going to create the room out of nothing, you see, the colours and shapes. So, shorthand, open your eyes. I say, wow, the whole view has suddenly appeared in the emptiness here. So again, just be aware of your single eye. And I say, I invite you to be aware that now you're still thinking, but the thoughts are arising in the no mind. It's not changed. And I can distinguish between my thoughts about the room and the room, but I can't separate them. They're arising in the same vast no mind now, you see, and all my body sensations. So even though you've got your eyes open and you might feel a bit self-conscious, that self-consciousness is something that's arising in the space. It doesn't affect the space. And this is where, as you live with this, and as you share it and communicate with others and see it from their point of view and play with it and explore it, see, you gradually realize some wonderful things about it. But it just takes time for these to settle in. You can verify it anytime you want, but one, for example, is it never goes away. You can't lose it. You can lose everything else in terms of things, right? But you can't lose who you really are. Now, would you agree with that, Kevin, just on present evidence? Does that make sense?
Only had it since Saturday, so
Ah.
lost it yet.
Is it available now? And you haven't lost it yet. Good. Testing it out, right? That's very good. Testing it out. I haven't lost it yet. See, I've been aware of it for 53 years and I haven't lost it yet. See. So, as you test it out, see, that you go by your own experience. If you really want confidence, you don't. Confidence isn't real confidence if you're believing something you don't really think is true, but you hope. But if you keep returning to the fact that whenever you look, you're looking out of a single eye, that grows confidence. That every time you look, it'll be there. Understood, Nick? Yeah, you see. Or that it is not, being aware of your true nature is not dependent on how much meditation you've done or what mood you're in or how many books you've read or whatever the thing is. Say, well, let me have a look now. Yeah, I can see it. And I haven't read all those books, or I'm feeling depressed. Let's see. Test it out, see. I'm feeling depressed. See. Now, can I see my single eye? Yeah. See. But it doesn't seem to be helping me. All right. Some of you have heard my metaphor. See, well, you have to be patient and give it a chance. See. It's like drinking vodka. Vodka is clear and doesn't taste of anything. It's like the great void, you see. So you have a shot of vodka. I'd like to put on record that I don't drink vodka, by the way. So Dave is going to cut that bit out. Yeah, I know. So it's like you have a shot of vodka, but and then you go, well, that didn't do anything. I say, wait, you see. And it's the same with meditation, it's the same with anything like this. You've got to give it a chance. And you see, the thing itself is kind of nothing, isn't it? It's kind of nothing. So you'd be forgiven for thinking, what is that going to do for me? I can't, it's just nothing. I can't seem to get it to do anything. Or what, I don't know. Well, just wait, you see. Have patience. Yeah. So, I say that now, how are we doing for time? Oh, yeah. I say that now, in this room now, we are enjoying this vision. Now, of course, I can't be sure that you are. I can't be sure that you're conscious. I can only be sure of my own consciousness now. So I'm aware I'm space for you. And there's no dividing line, see? But inasmuch as I accept you're conscious, which I do, I live by that, I therefore say, well, you must be in the same blessed condition as me. Looking out of a single eye, you see, space for the world, you've no boundary now. You're actually not in the room. The room is in you. Profound, really profound. This is freedom. Real freedom is not the freedom of the person, because who is free? There's so many things you can't do, and you're getting older, whatever. The real freedom is of your true nature, because you're not in a box. Everything is in you. See? So start drinking, or continue drinking from that source, that well. See? And it will nourish you. So I say now, because I'm a fan of the headless way and the way it's so direct, face to no face, see, that we've all got it. See? Everybody is looking out of a single eye now. I say you are, whether you're thinking about it or not. But now we are, I say, in a wonderful situation, setup. See, well, if we had more time, but we can do a little bit, we've already done a little bit, we can begin to share our response to this and support each other. So when you were growing up, how did you become aware that you were a person? Through others. How did you stabilize that sense of separate self? Because you did not have it when you were a baby, and you didn't really have it yet as an infant, but by the time you're an adult, you've got it. And you don't even think about it, and you don't even remember not having it. That's your reality. So how did that happen? It was because you were with others who were telling you that 24/7 and wouldn't let you off the hook. And it was insisted upon that you actually participate and declare that. You can't just sit back and accept it. You've got to say, it's like when you're learning a language, you've got to start to speak, right? You might be able to read it, but that's not going to get you very far. You've got to take the risk to start to speak. And it's always a bit, I find it a little bit kind of scary to begin with, because you haven't done it before. See? But after a while, you see, it becomes fluent. You become fluent. So growing up, you took on board language through others to articulate, yeah, I'm Richard, you're Nick. So you give as good as you get. See? Does this make sense? Yeah? See, so you must start to speak. You must start to stand up and declare who you are. I'm Richard, you see. See, you're Gillian. And then you do it to others. I'm Richard and you're Kevin. You see? I'm Richard, you're Dale. We've all done that. We're all fluent in declaring our separateness and identifying others as separate and talking as if that's true, as if we're face to face. Right? If I say face to face with anyone here, no one bats an eyelid, even though you can't see face to face, right? Because it's the lingua franca, it's the currency. See? So when you then wake up to who you really are, I say you continue speaking that language in order to get to the shop or whatever in your job. You must have that. But now you introduce a new language to articulate your true nature. And because it is really supportive to actually declare in public who you really are. See? So I benefit enormously from going around doing workshops, because I am in a position where I'm in a friendly situation where it's accepted, where I can say, I'm the one. I'm face to no face with you. I'm looking out of a single eye. I'm space for the world. Everything is in me. See? Now, every time I say it, I'm kind of affirming this in public, right? And I'm also saying that Just as I might say you're Dale or you're Brian, you see, I'm saying now also, as well as that, you are really the one. You're really looking at the single eye there. You're no face-to-face with me. You're not in the room is in you. See, and we need this support. We need reminding. See. So, class, who's going to be brave enough to declare in public who they really are? You see, we know we can't pin it down, but we accept that. I accept we've all got the experience. But when you learn language, then you start by copying. And then later on, when you feel more confident, you start to improvise, right? I am not in the room is in me. Do you understand that? Right? The bottle is in the room, but it's a thing surrounded by other things. But this space isn't a thing, everything is in it. So who would like to declare that in public? I am not in the room is in me. David.
I'm not in this body, the body's in me.
Okay, good. You're improvising. I get that, you see. Now, isn't that wonderful? And I'm in the same wonderful condition, right? So now we are sharing in public not only our separateness, David and Richard, but the where we meet, and this wonderful fact that we are the same mystery, right? Now, isn't that wonderful to bring it on there and declare it? And why not? It's good news, you see. So you could use the same phrase, rather good phrase. Who else would like to? Because you just start the ball rolling. Anyone else? Who'd else like to say this? Yeah, go on.
So a little bit different language. All of this is held in awareness. It's not awareness that's held in this.
Got it. Everything is held in awareness. And that awareness has no name, right? Or size, or shape. You see, because I am aware of it too, I can describe it accurately for you. Do you see what I mean? You see, no edge to it?
It sounds like we might be having a similar experience.
I would say we are. Yeah, you see. Now, yeah, it is cool, isn't it? It's cool. It's cool. You see, because if you meet someone who, let's say, you had the good fortune to go to the Canary Islands. Anyone been to the Canary Islands here? So you haven't. So it's mysterious. You see. So I have. So anyway, let's say you've been to the Canary Islands and you know what it's like. I know what it's like. It's a lovely place, you see. But I can't really share that with you, can I? I mean, you haven't been. See? But let's say we meet in a year and we've both been to George's Meditation Center. So we can talk about that because we've both been there. Right? It's something we can share. Or you might know the same person. Oh, have you been there? Yeah, I've been there. Oh, and did you go to that, that neighborhood? Yeah, actually, I did go to that neighborhood. I've got a friend there. He lives on that. I've got a friend on that. And you discover eventually it's the same person, right? You go, oh, amazing, you see. Well, we're talking here, and we've discovered something that we have in common. More than a friend, more than a country, a being. Weird, wonderful, tremendous, right? See? I mean, it's so vast there, isn't it, Julian? I mean, it has no boundary. It's absolutely clear. There's a song, On a Clear Day You Can See Forever. Does that connect with this? It's kind of, on a clear day, see forever. So, another phrase, you can be the one I've said, or anyone like to try this? It's rather fun. Yeah.
Let me try something. As I go around the world and meet more and more people, I'm meeting myself more in more variety or more often.
You see, that's brilliant. That's brilliant, you see. 'Cause that is you. No one else here would have said it like that, you see. They haven't. But I know what you're talking about. Everyone is yourself, right?
Yeah.
In my...
And the more I meet people, the more I meet myself.
Yeah. Got it. Understood. Now, if you said that out in the big, wide, bad, real world, probably they wouldn't understand you. But they might. But you might. But now here, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. You see. Now it's wonderful. In my terms, everyone's face is your own. Because I don't have one. There's no distance. I am you. Wonderful. Your name again is?
Tom.
Tom.
That's the name the world has given.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you all see me as Tom, but really I am this vast openness, right?
Yeah. Nameless.
Nameless. And that is so freeing, isn't it? I find it so. Loving. Everyone you meet, love your neighbor as yourself, because your neighbor is yourself.
Yeah.
So do you see how as we begin to share our own view from the space, we inspire each other? I find it. See. One other person at the moment, then we can do something else maybe.
I'm not in this room is in me.
Say it again.
I'm not in this room is in me.
Yeah. Now isn't that just wonderful to say it? I think it's true, isn't it? It's true, you see. Now, do you like that fact that you're not in the room is in you?
I neither like it or dislike it, but it kind of makes my head explode. Yeah, it's a paradigm shift.
I love it.
A totally different way of thinking about things.
Yeah.
Being in things.
Yeah.
Extraordinary.
And you're not manipulating your experience. You're not trying to say, I'd love to believe that. You're observing and describing the way it is. Yeah. See, so there's a power in that. There's a strength in that. There's a peace in that. Yeah. So let's just be quiet together for a few minutes, because we're bringing up realizations and observations, and it's good just to be quiet together to let that settle or digest. Or I'm not asking you now. Now we're going to digest. You don't have to do anything. You are the space in which you're not in the room. The room is in you, so there's nothing you can do in a way. But just to be quiet, and then we'll move on to something else. And as we're sitting together just quietly, apart from me speaking obviously, then I would say that I know what you're doing. I mean, I know who you are. You're being the space in which the room is happening. You're not in the room is in you. I'm just putting words on this non-verbal experience. See? You're wider than the room. You're deeper than the ocean. And whatever you're thinking or feeling does not obscure that ocean. It arises in it. So I'll just describe something that I've been thinking about, that if you're just, as you're sitting there, aware of your single eye, but aware of your single body or your field of sensation, which I would say has no hard edge, and from the radical subjective point of view, it is not over at your center in a box separate from the world there, it's just arising in awareness. So I can distinguish between my body sensations and the room, but I can't find a dividing line. And I think that this is the way we came in as babies, because you hadn't labeled that your back and that your head and the sensation that your elbow. It's just a kind of cloud or field of sensation. See, and you're looking out and you can see the room, but the sensation is as big as the room, I would say, and as edgeless, and is not in a different place. It's arising in awareness. And I suppose because one has been thinking of oneself as small and those sensations in a box, when I see that there's no box, there is a feeling of expansion. A feeling of vastness. This is very healthy and relaxing and uniting with the world. And warm. There's something very kind of relaxed, and you see, you're not forcing it out, your sensations, or your mind, your thoughts are out there too. I would say it's always been like that. So you're not trying to manipulate, you're meditating, if that's the right word. You're just aware of the way you are, that you are not divided off. And that's a very physical thing. It's not just a visual thing. It's a mental thing. I mean, your mind, your thinking, my thinking about you is not in a box here separate from you. It's just arising with you, without a dividing line. And the sensations too. So this is very very good. And this is something that you just your true nature, who you really are, this subjective experience of yourself, this contrast with the outside view which you need to have. The headless way, I do not denigrate or disparage one's sense of separation and self. That is vital for functioning. But now you see that arises within the space. My sense of being here and of you there, of your voice, my voice, your thoughts, my thoughts, that all is something that I've learned has arisen within the space. I welcome it, because it does not stop me being aware of the vastness. In fact, it somehow makes me aware of it, contrasts with it. So face to no face, mind to no mind, sensation to no sensation. It highlights my true nature. There's nothing to force, nothing to make happen. Your experience will be different from anyone else's. So the way I'm describing it, if it doesn't fit for you, as far as I'm concerned, that is a detail. You know, you find, that's why I start to encourage you to speak, to articulate it, to find your voice, to discover that you have things to say that no one else will say, can think of, because you are you. You unique view out from the source. And to me, a kind of fundamental reality or something is that each of us is the whole of this. It's a weird thing. And you can't do it wrong. And don't let anybody tell you you're doing it wrong or you haven't got it enough. You won't have it the same in terms of your understanding or feeling as anyone else. That's good. Vive la différence. It is not that they're better or they're just different view out of the one. See? So then when we begin to bring this onto the front burner in our lives and find that there are people around us who are living this too, see, and that we can talk about it. It's like the elephant in the room that we haven't been talking about. But it's not an elephant, it's a diamond, a tiger. It's a wonderful thing in the room. That it's not something that, oh my God, do we really have to talk about the elephant in the room? You know, it's such a terrible secret we've been keeping in our family or whatever, or in society, or we just, you know, no, it's not, it's actually the most wonderful thing that we have been not addressing, our true nature. See, which you can see how in so many ways we need to bring onto the front burner. We need to acknowledge it because it's going to help us enormously in our lives. Everyone you meet is yourself, you see. You're not in the room or the situation's in you. If you've got a problem and you can't figure out how to solve it, you're doing everything you can to solve the problem, and then you get to your wit's end and you can't figure it out, well then notice that this is here, this creative, irrepressibly creative source, and ask it for help. Say, all right, I don't know what to do now. What do you think? You know, I mean, right? Because, I mean, what you are, what you're looking out of, isn't the one in the mirror. It is the source and origin of everything. I say, now that is good to have on your side. All right.
Wasn't it Douglas that said the only way to know God is to be God?
The only way to know God is to be God. So, this is so practical in terms of our relationships. And you can, already you're testing that out, because if you're aware of me, you see my face and you don't see yours. And this is sort of radical union with the other. I don't know what you're thinking. You know, I respect you're there, I'm here. But then privately, when I look for myself, no distance. This is just very different from what we were told. Face to no face. I have your face, no distance, no. Your face is my own. Wherever you go, you meet yourself. See, right now, isn't it true that because you can't see your own head, instead you've got 20 heads? True, Nick? Yeah. Now, you can imagine it's going to make a difference if you take that in and live from it, isn't it?
Take that into what?
If you take that in and live from it.
Oh, yeah. Kind of just eradicates the barrier.
Eradicates the barrier. Yeah. You see, there never was a barrier, right? Yeah. Doesn't mean to say that you like everybody or you're going to give them all your money. You know, you're aware as an adult of what you look like in your boundary and you need to respect that. But now you bring into the picture this inner truth. And I could understand you saying, well, actually, I don't want to know about that. That is too disturbing to my way of life. Right? That is going to demand too much of to see that everyone is myself, to see that there's no dividing line, or to see there's no dividing line between me and the planet. Yeah, I think I'd rather not know that. That's going to upset things too much. You can imagine that, can't you? See. Why did you tell me that? I don't want to know that. I tell you, early on, when I discovered this, I remember a time quite soon after I'd found this out. And, of course, the person who showed me was Douglas Harding, who developed this. I remember I was a teenager, and I was reading books like Dharma Bums by Jack Kerouac, and I had this romantic view of the seeker, you know, and I did. I came to America when I was 18. I hitchhiked around the whole country on my own, see? So I had this idea of this romantic thing, you see. And then Douglas Harding showed me my true nature. And fairly soon after he showed me, I remember thinking, damn, I can't be a seeker anymore, because I've found, right? It upset my plan. Anyway, the observation when you're with others. All right, so as I've said, the way that you stabilized your sense of personal self was by being with others who were telling you that all the time, and they insisted you stand up and declare it yourself. So you joined in the conversation, and it was this two-way feedback all the time that didn't let you off being aware of your separateness. And one way in which you can be supported in stabilizing, if that's the right word, your true identity in your life is to have friends who keep reminding you, like I am doing. See? And also will say to you, well, Gillian, are you space for the world now? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see? Yes, right? But the more that you stand up and say it, the more you realize you're only speaking the truth, and it's safe to say it amongst friends, right, who understand. You see that? I'm not asking you, suggesting you do it just on the street corner. Although I have done that. But this experience is also isn't verbal. It's non-verbal. I mean, you can talk about it, and it's important to talk about it, just as it's important to talk about your separate self. I find it just very important to name it in public. The elephant in the room, the tiger in the room, the diamond in the room. But also, as I indicated before, your reading of others, when I look at you, you feel looked at. So I don't have to put into words that I'm here and you're there, and you're behind the face and I'm behind. I just look, see, and I'm communicating because you feel looked at. You're getting the message. Is that true? Yeah. Now, see, you were taught that. Now here's the next step. When you're looking at me, you see, I'm now going to, reveal the obvious, is that when I'm looking at you now, I'm noticing it's face to no face. And I am assuming now that you see that there's a double message. I can see you feel seen as a person, but now I'm saying right there is nothing, open space. See? So what starts to happen is that when you are with others, even if they're not seeing, their face reminds you don't have one. If you start to kind of encourage that, to learn something, you need to get into habit, right? So now, this is practice time for non-verbally being aware you're face to no face with each other and with me. See, and you're now, it's the hammer, the claw hammer that knocks the nail in, also pulls the nail out. So these looks, as it were, have put you in a box, right? Because you feel self-conscious. But now, just, experiment. You can see my eyes looking at you, but now, as it were, reframe it. So my eyes are looking into nothing. Do you see what I mean? You see? So now, the hammer that knocked the nail in, the other person's look, takes the nail out, you see. So all these eyes that are looking at you are kind of looking into nothing. So now you can kind of bring that freeing habit in, if you like. I mean, it just knows the obvious, it's face to no face. See? But that gaze that can be so powerful, see, how do you deal with it? Well, just see it falls into nothing, right, Fran? You see? And now you look, you enjoy the look, right? Because it's not landing on anything where you are. See? Now you see how when we start to articulate this, that reveals something, and even your nod, because you're agreeing, right? You're understanding, you're exploring that, you see, is helpful to me because it lands somewhere and it encourages me. See? And my articulation of this now, you see, is bringing that into my awareness. See? The look, people's look, is something is very powerful. Because it's what thinged you, made you small, that look, is part of it, language. But now you can see that you can turn that around in a way. See? Any reflections on that? Do you find that true, helpful, useful? I can see you nodding, so that's a start.
I think it's the difficulty will be with people who operate according to traditional, conventional social cues, and I could see myself trying to practice this and getting negative reinforcement, maybe by keeping a gaze for too long on someone, and their self-consciousness may rub off or something.
Yeah, I understand that, yeah. So we are here in a group where we opening up to that, you see. But I wouldn't do this with someone I didn't know unless it felt right, because sometimes it does. But that is therefore that you don't throw out what you've learned, how to relate to others. When you can now bring this in, but not throw out all that you've learned there. But it's like when you're with animals. Dale's got animals. If you are open and headless, I would say, see, the animals feel it. Because you are being big, right? 'Cause you are big. You're being big in the room, you see, and you're being everything, and physically. And, you know, so you're in this open, relaxed state of your true nature. You're noticing it, and the animals are in that. They know they're very sensitive, so they pick up on that, right? Now people are not that different. See, and if you are hanging out with people who know nothing about headlessness, but you're not making a thing of it. You're just enjoying being big, right? You don't even have to look at someone. They'll sense something. They're smart. You see, we're all very skillful at reading people. You know, you've survived so far through that. And when you come across someone that say, "Wow," you kind of feel no demands or feel love in a way, something like that. You know, but the animals feel that. Well, we feel that. You see. So it's not like you have to do anything or even look. You're just being that vastness, you see. And it's like you've got invisible arms around the whole room now. Does that make sense? Like you physically, as if you're holding. I mean, my arms hold this much, see. But my first person arms, my hand, just open your arms and your left hand on the left side of the room and your right, you see, you embrace the room. From the outside you don't, but from the inside you do. Well, it's like that in terms of your being. You embrace the room. You include it. It's in you.